Camping in the woods can be a fantastic way to unwind and enjoy the great outdoors, but it's important to stay vigilant and trust your instincts. That night, my buddy John and I learned this lesson the hard way. John and I had planned this camping trip for weeks. We'd been out to the woods countless times, and each trip was a mix of fishing, campfires, and storytelling. This time, we picked a spot in a national park we hadn't tried before, setting up our camp near a stream that was about 15 to 20 feet wide. With a few hours of daylight left, we decided to hit the water and do some fishing. We set up our rods, cracked open a couple of beers, and started casting. The evening was perfect, calm, with the gentle gurgling of the stream and the occasional rustle of leaves. We chatted about work and life, the easy kind of conversation that makes these trips special. As we fished, I noticed something odd. I had just cast a lure into the stream when I thought I saw movement in the woods across the water. At first, I assumed it was a deer or another animal coming to drink, but it vanished quickly, disappearing into the trees. I asked John if he saw it, but he was looking in a different direction and didn't notice anything. I brushed it off, thinking it was probably nothing. We fished for another half hour or so, then packed up and headed back to camp before darkness set in. I was looking forward to cooking up some hot dogs and relaxing by the fire. However, when we returned to our campsite, something was off. My bag with my camping stove was missing. I was certain I'd brought it, but we couldn't find it anywhere. Maybe I left it at the truck, but John suggested we cook over the campfire for the night and check the truck in the morning. It was already getting dark, and walking back to the truck a half-mile away didn't seem appealing. As I cooked hot dogs over the campfire, I couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. It felt like I was being watched, but I tried to ignore it, attributing it to paranoia after a few beers. We spent the rest of the evening around the fire, trading stories and laughing. Eventually, we retreated to our tents for the night. I fell asleep quickly, but around 3 a.m. I woke abruptly, unsure of what had stirred me. I lay still, listening, and then I heard it. A few sticks snapping outside of my tent, followed by what sounded like footsteps walking away from our campsite. My heart started to race. I tried to calm myself, convincing myself it was probably just John heading to the bathroom. I listened for a while longer, but heard nothing more, and eventually fell back to sleep. I was jolted awake again by John's panicking voice shouting, "What the hell?" I scrambled out of my tent and saw him looking around frantically. John explained that someone had stolen our fishing poles and all of our gear. I put on my boots and began searching the campsite. I recalled the sounds I'd heard earlier and asked John if he'd been outside. He said no. We looked around and found a set of footprints near the trees by my tent. They were strange, bare footprints leading into the woods. I remarked out loud, "Who would be out here without shoes?" John, visibly angry, decided we should follow the tracks. We ventured into the woods, tracking the prints and broken twigs, hoping to find out who had taken our stuff. We walked for about 20 minutes until we stumbled upon a clearing. There, in a disorganized pile, were fishing poles, camping bags, ice chests, and more. It was clear this wasn't a regular campsite. Someone had just dumped our stuff in a pile with other random items that must have belonged to other campers. I found my bag with the camping stove inside, and John quickly located our fishing poles and other missing equipment. I urged John to leave. The whole situation felt increasingly unsettling. But John, determined to find out who was behind this, insisted on following another set of footprints he noticed. We walked for about 5 more minutes before we froze in horror. Next to a tree, there was a pile of bones, at least 50 of them, scattered all around. John approached the pile cautiously, examining the bones. His face turned white as he picked up a skull fragment and then jumped back, exclaiming, "Oh my God, that's a human skull!" The sight was more than we could handle. We ran back to camp, packed up our things in a frantic hurry, and made our way to the truck as quickly as possible. We stopped at the ranger station on the way out of the park and told them what happened and where we were camping. We left them our contact info, but never heard anything back. That night, we learned a crucial lesson about camping. It's not just about enjoying nature, but also about being vigilant and prepared for anything. Trust your instincts, don't ignore signs of potential danger. Sometimes the peaceful wilderness hides unsettling realities, and being cautious can be the difference between a great trip and a nightmare.